Topping the list of news items not to be missed this week is the announcement that a young search and rescue helicopter pilot from North Wales in England has proposed marriage to a young woman who has worked sporadically in the fashion industry. The engagement comes as something of a relief to both families. While the prospective bride's parents had been solidly employed in the airline industry, he as a pilot, she as a flight attendant, and now own a successful party supply business, the prospective groom's mother died tragically some years ago, and his father has had trouble finding suitable work. This announcement fueled a speculative boom around the globe. Realm magazine published a detailed list of possible sites for the wedding, and commentators plumbed family dynamics in light of a startling range of possible dates. Maybe spring, the families say, or maybe summer. Bookies have begun taking bets on who will design the wedding gown. Philippa Lepley is the current favorite, and the Manhattan jeweler that produced the engagement ring has been inundated with orders for copies. The prime cause of this frenzy, of course, is that the prospective groom is the heir to the throne of England. The royal engagement out-Twittered another announcement, this one emblazoned on the cover of People magazine, that Kim Kardashian thought she would have been married by age 30. In case you've been in a sensory deprivation chamber for the past few years, the Kardashian sisters are mainly famous for being famously exhibitionist in both the physical and emotional senses of that word. Actually, the real news in the People cover story was that the name Kardashian and the word thought appeared in the same sentence, probably for the very first time. For the ancient Greeks, fame wasn't the result of either title or tittle-tattle. Rather, it was a reward for living a life of virtue, excellence, and honor. The quest to be worthy of fame gave meaning and value to human life. The hope of achieving fame, in the ancient sense of virtue that leads to glory or honor, animates the valiant deeds of the Greek heroes. Fame signals that a person has made a lasting impression on human affairs and thus has achieved a kind of immortality. In the Iliad, Homer's account of the Trojan War, the Greek hero Achilles faces a choice as he enters the battle against the Trojans. Achilles describes the dilemma as follows: "My mother Thetis, goddess of the silver feet, tells me I carry two sorts of destiny toward the day of my death. If I stay here and fight over the city of the Trojans, my return home is lost, but my glory shall be everlasting. But if I return home to the beloved native land, the excellence of my glory is lost, but there will be a long life left for me, and my end in death will not come to me quickly." In the end, Achilles chooses to stay and win his fame. He dies valiantly in the Trojan War, but his memory lives on and his fame grows ever greater. Achilles happened to earn his fame on the battlefield, but other Greeks earned fame arguing in the courtroom or teaching in the classroom, leading in the public square, or exploring on the high seas. Each left a lasting impression, the Greeks believed, by living a life of virtue, excellence, and honor. In this sense, the most famous person in the news recently is not Kim Kardashian, or even the prospective royal bride or groom, but Ted Sorensen, who died several weeks ago at the age of 82. Over more than a decade as one of John F. Kennedy's closest advisors, Ted established himself as a master political philosopher and deft political strategist, as well as a consummate rhetorician. His talent for turning a memorable phrase remains second to none. He set the standard for modern political oratory. Ted helped then Senator Kennedy write Profiles in Courage, the 1956 book for which Kennedy won the Pulitzer Prize. Ted later became part of Kennedy's inner circle, helping craft the president's most memorable speeches, as well as his highly nuanced correspondence with Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev that helped diffuse the Cuban Missile Crisis. Ted was also a lifelong Unitarian. In his last book, titled Counselor, Ted describes the importance of his Unitarian upbringing in developing his personal religious philosophy and his sense of political purpose. His Unitarian faith also played an important role in countering concern about having a Catholic in the White House. Ted notes that the Unitarian Church and the Catholic Church stand at opposite ends of the religious spectrum on matters of absolute faith, unchanging doctrine, church-state relations, and the obedience of the faithful to a church hierarchy. Thus it is ironic, he says, that the two of us collaborated so well for so long on reducing the obstacle that his Catholic faith posed to his hopes for becoming President of the United States. Shortly before the election in 1960, JFK asked Ted if his study of Catholic teachings and papal encyclicals, along with his meetings with Catholic clergy, had influenced him. "Is any of my Catholicism rubbing off on you?" the future president asked. "No," Ted replied, "but I think some of my Unitarianism is rubbing off on you." In describing the particulars of his Unitarian faith, Ted explains that Unitarians believe Jesus is a Son of God only in the sense that all human beings are children of God. There is a spark of divinity in each of us. Thus, he says, Unitarians do not find it necessary to honor the compassionate teaching and courageous life of Jesus by attributing divine intervention to the circumstances of his birth or death. He continues, "I cannot deny that much happens in this world that we cannot understand, including some patterns that could reflect some greater power than we will ever know. Even truth and reason, my two bywords, sometimes raise questions for which there are no clear answers. But while Unitarians observe no binding doctrines, and therefore have no apostasy or heresy, surely this does not mean that we have no faith. I have faith in humanity, in the family, in democracy, in justice, and in morality. I have faith in universal values."